Hey guys, Dave Pearson here, Regional Educator for L'Oreal Professionnel. I am going to be blowing out Ellie. She was my mannequin for our Hair Improv earlier today, and I gave her some beautiful chunky highlights. And if you go back and watch my IG story, you can find out how I achieved them, but this is going to be the blowout for it. So we are doing a volume blow dry. So we've already prepped her hair with Hair Expert Absolute Repair 10-in-1. This for me is always just a great priming option. Helps to moisturize the hair just so you can make sure, you know, if the ends had dried out a little bit. I let my mannequin air dry just a bit. So I want to make sure that I can control these ends, and therefore I want to make sure that those ends are still damp because I want to dry them. All right. So essentially now she's like she's as if I removed about 80% of moisture from her hair. So she has some left over. So I'm just going to comb that through, make sure I'm working it through all of the hair. The other great thing about the 10-in-1s, whether you choose the Absolute Repair or the Vitamino Color, they both have heat protection up to 450 degrees. So it's always a primer for me because hair integrity is so important. Then what I'm going to do is I am going to use a couple of things. I want some root lift. So I'm going to give some densité, just a couple of little pumps. This is a level 2, so it's not crazy hold, right? But I want it right at the root area. I'm just going to work that in. I'm only just doing 1/4 of her head because that is all I did for my highlight tutorial. All right, so I'm just working that in. So I'm not using a ton of product. The next product that I'm going to be using in her hair is the Transformers Gel to Mousse. So I'm going to go ahead and put some of this in my hand. Like I said, it comes out as a gel, and then it starts to foam into a mousse. This is going to give me a little bit more hold. It is a level 3 hold. And then I'm actually going to cocktail it with this little guy. This guy is called Super Dust, also a level 3 hold. But what it's going to do is it's going to give me a little bit more texture in my mousse. So as I'm doing my blow dry, I'm actually just going to cocktail it like that, okay? So as I go through my blow dry, it's still going to give me hold, but now I'm going to get added texture in the hair as well, which is going to help with some volume. All right, so work that through. Give it a good go with your hands. So now I'm just combing it through. So I want to get even saturation of everything. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to pre-dry a little bit of this root area, and then I'm going to start breaking down the blow dry. So this is just pre-drying. What I'm doing is I'm just lifting at the root, giving a little air in there. Notice what I'm not doing. I'm not shaking my dryer. I'm actually just moving the hair. All right? That puts you more in control over what you're doing. Or if you do see me moving my dryer, it's in a more of a controlled, like a C shape. So you can already see the volume I put in there just by that little bit of air drying or pre-drying. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and section her. All right, I'll give you a bird's eye view here. So I'm going to basically split this section in half. So this is going to be one section that's going to completely fit into my brush. I'm going to break it down a little bit more in a minute. But so this part I want to keep out of the way from the dryer so it doesn't dry on me before I want it to. This section is too wide for my bristles, right? So the hair starts here, this section ends over here. So I actually need to split this down into 2 sections so that the full sections will fit between the bristles. Otherwise, you're going to cause over direction, which is not something that we want. So it's always nice to have your clips at the ready. So again, I'm just going to smooth this, and I'm going to move this out of the way. All right. I don't want those ends to be pre-dried. This is going to help me control it. I'm choosing a 1-inch brush because I want some curl. And then I need to just swap sides here. And how I blow dry, all my blow dries start with a drying of the box is what I call it. So this section, if you're looking at it, is a square, right? Top, side, side, bottom. So that's drying the square. So I'm going to go ahead and blow dry the box, which is usually about 2 times around. Gets the box dry. Then this is zone 1, just like a balayage. This is zone 2, just like a balayage. And this is zone 3. So I'm going to blow dry it in zones. Zone 1 to zone 2, and then zone 2 to zone 3. So let's get going. So brush goes on top of the hair for maximum tension. I'm going to C-shape my dryer. I'm not shaking my dryer. So what we're doing when we're drying this box is we're basically drying the roots completely straight off the head. And that's how we're getting maximum volume from it. All right, zone 1 is dry. Now, what I know is that brush placement matters. So if I was going to blow dry this piece down and towards her face, then my brush is going to go underneath the hair because I'm going to work it this way and I'm going to release it towards the face. Because I know I want a round brush coil to go away from the face, my brush is going to go on top of the hair. And I'm going to use this guideline for my section. This becomes an arrow to put your brush on. So you're going to wrap the hair around, secure it with your thumb, right? Looks like that, which is creating maximum tension. And then we're going to go ahead and start our dry, which looks like this. It's called a rock and roll. So what you're going to do is you're going to lock the brush in, you're going to dry it, you're going to rock it, and you're going to roll it. You're going to rock it, you're going to roll it, okay? That rock and roll action, that is how you get a bend in the hair. All right, if you start from down here and try and work your way up, you're really only curling the ends, okay? And you're creating smoothness up top. So just know that going into it. So brush placement matters, totally. All right, so here we go. Just doing that rock and roll, right? Rock, roll, rock, roll. And go back on base, because we're focused on zone 1 and 2. Go back to base. How you know the hair is dry is when the brush slips through it without sticking. That means there's no more moisture. So we're there now. Zone 1 and zone 2 are dry. So now I'm going to start to drop into zone 2. Go back to zone 2. So you can see the brush sticking. There's moisture in there. I will tell you that the other reason why it's sticking is from the super dust, also that I cocktailed into my mousse. right? I'm creating texture, I'm creating grip with my product. So you also want to make take close attention to these ends because you want to get them nice and smooth. So what you can see is, this is what I love. What you see is now, you see how these ends are curling already? That's telling you that the memory is already there. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rock and roll it one more time with heat, then I'm gonna rock and roll it one more time with the cool shot. So this is the heat. Roll it off. One more time, now I'm going to do cool shots. Cool shot helps to create shine, helps to cool off the hair and give it more memory. Now I'm going to rock my brush off a little bit so I have room to maneuver my brush, and I'm going to drop my brush down and then I'm going to wind it off the brush. Right. So you can see the amount of curl she has there and the amount of volume that she has coming off of her root. All right. So we're just gonna, not too far. Sometimes Ellie has a mind of her own. There we go. So I'm gonna just repeat that. I'm gonna dry the box and then go through those exact same steps one more time for here. One last time with the cool shot. Let that hair cool down. Turn off your dryer, let it out, and then drop and roll off. Okay. So now, this is where I would take my fingers actually, and then very gently, I'm just gonna go ahead and merge the two with my fingers. And then I'm gonna just follow the roll that we put in and merge them together. Now I'm gonna take this section. Now, again, this is probably gonna break down into 4. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and split this in half again, leaving this over to the side. This time, this is going to fit into my brush. So we're gonna go ahead and dry this rectangle now and do the same thing. Unwind, drop it, and let it go. All right. So as you can see, the hair here is also coming straight off the head. And yes, you can see a separation. You can see a parting, which is going to be more obvious on a mannequin than a human. But how you would deal with that is with a carbon comb and your blow dryer. So I'll take you through that as well. All right. Last section is the top. So we already pre-dried the root. We know we sprayed it with a little densité to give it a little bit more extra. And so for this section, I'm actually gonna up my brush size to the next level up, which is the 1 1/4. All right, again, that whole section's too big for one section of my brush, right, without over direction. So I'm gonna do this in 2. So I'm gonna pin this part out of the way, and then we're gonna deal with this part. I'm still approaching it the exact same way with drying the box. None of that's changing. Just my body position is changing, because now what I need the hair to do is to go straight up. And at every angle I'm drying now, the hair is being blow dried directly straight up. So even with this, you still have an arrow. Brush goes on the arrow on top of the hair. We're still going to do our rock and roll. What we're going to do is over direct it slightly forward. Aren't as distinguished. But what we are going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to let it air cool pinned. Let's just take a little pin. If you have a little duckbill, those work really well. Just didn't have mine handy, so we're going to go with that. That works perfect. Okay, and then we're going to repeat this one last time. Again, bigger brush, so 1 1/4. Smooth it out. Again, we're going straight up. Cut those ends out of the way. Cut the ends straight up. Oh no! Last time to the back. You still have an arrow. Brush goes across. Last one, cool shot. Gonna hold it on base. Drop it and let it off. So what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and let this one cool pinned as well. Right, with what we did to one, we're going to do to the other. And again, this is because we wanted maximum volume. If you just wanted normal, everyday volume, you could skip the pin curl. All right. So what I didn't do yet is I didn't merge levels 1 and 2. So I am going to go ahead and do that now. I'm going to do that with my fingers, break them together, and reprocess the spin. Okay. All right. Now we'll go ahead and let out the back one, and now we'll let out the front one. So again, take your fingers, break these through, right? You don't want to reshape the hair, you just want to merge the sections together. We blow dry it back in a round curl. So merge it together. Right. So you can see the volume that she has here coming off her root. Check my blow dry tutorials on my YouTube channel. You'll see how you don't get this pull down right here. This pull down is coming from the fact that I blow dry it from a part. Normally I would have sectioned off a mohawk section and blow dry the parting in between the dead center of that mohawk, which gives you maximum volume off of it. So it doesn't make this down curve, but you know, there are different ways to do blow dry. So this is one of them. All right. So I said I was going to show you how also to deal with those lines, right? So you can see she has a pretty defined line here. What you want to do is take your carbon comb. I don't think this is a carbon, so I'm not going to leave the heat on it too long. But what you do is you find a section that crosses, you want to cross over the parting that you're wanting to diminish, right? Then what you do is you take your comb, stick the comb in, lock the comb, and create maximum tension on that hair. Have your blow dryer handy. And then what you're gonna do, so lock that in, and then you're gonna just heat up and warm up that hair where the parting is. This will minimize those part lines. So until you get a hang of it, which you will get the hang of it, there are tricks to get around the lines, so never fear, okay? So let's see, what are we, I just want to do a little dampness, so I don't have my whisk control handy. So I just put a little bit of the 10-in-1 in my hand. I'm just gonna use it to rake my fingers through this hair. All right, one little trick. Put it all together in a single twist. So she's done. So if she was going out later tonight, leave her hair like this, all right? If she is going out for brunch right after this, start like this, grab this section of her hair, give it a little shake, and it will open up, all right? And then this is what her hair is gonna look like for the day. All right, awesome. I hope you like my blow dry tutorial.